Hammer and Bolter is one of the most controversial animation production GW has produced. This is because the quality animation looks like it came from a late-night obscure Adult Swim program. There is no excuse for the animation to be this low quality, because look at the price of some of the models, they have some cash to spare. I mean, as a Mechanicus player, how much he has to pay for his army to be able to play, especially since their animation production on YouTube that has better, higher quality content that's free to watch being produced by a single or small team. I mean, there was, till GW decided to pull a page from Mice and Men and put them down. That being said, how about the show itself?
I mean, it's alright, like...
This is honestly the best way to describe the experience watching the show. Most of the episodes are incredibly mediocre. Episodes are confusing, requiring a deep understanding of the lore. Occasionally there's entertaining episodes, but nothing to write home about. This is the reason that caused a lot of people to be upset and angry that higher, well-made content is being shut down, and while GW is releasing official mediocre content. Then this episode came out. This one amazing, well-written episode that impressed me to the point it got me wanting to make this video, called A New Life. The way I'll be structuring is by going through the episode from beginning to end, without revealing the episode's ending until I finish the whole summary. If you haven't watched it, please do. You have to watch it blind to truly gain the experience of the episode, and if you have no subscription service, I mean, you know how to sell around. We start the episode with the Imperium holding the city under martial law. Any unauthorized civilians seen on the streets will be shot without any question. This is very Imperium. They do not care about the individual citizens living in it, only their undying loyalty and servitude for the Empire of humanity. In this commotion, we see a family with a baby whose life is going to be changed forever when the husband comes in telling them they need to leave due to a threat coming from space that will endanger all their lives. The wife isn't happy. They are forced to leave their home and their life here on this planet, but they have to for their child to live. This is pretty much a classic trope of the Apocalypse family, where they are just starting a new life with their baby, but are forced to abandon their home due to things that are outside of their control. It continues when making difficult decisions for survival. To escape, they need to leave the safety of their homes and reach the shuttles to escape the planet. They have to move fast or they end up being killed regardless if they have a baby. However, the grandmother can't come with them, allowing herself to be left behind, content that the couple will continue with their lives. This is pretty well done in making us care for this group of people because of their innocence and sympathy for how much they have to sacrifice and how much they're willing to put their lives at rest for something beyond their understanding. We see them running through the streets, doing their best to avoid the military, only to end up at a blockade, where we see other people demanding to let them pass towards the shuttles only to receive bolter fire and last shots as a reply. The family is forced to find another path, which will take much longer to reach their destination. We got to see the threat that the planet is facing, being a Tyranid fleet. One of the biggest planet killers is this Xeno faction. They tend to eat everything that could be considered scientifically alive, leaving the planet barren. Now, it could be goofy sometimes where they keep the minerals or metals, even the atmosphere in some obscure lore, but it's easier to imagine and understand they focus on any bio that could help them produce back their numbers. The amount of resources invested to defend against the Tyranid fleet is exhausting for the Imperium. It's only reserved for important planets, in which this planet is left to die, with the only decision left to make is removing the important people and valuable artifacts off the planet, leaving many to die. The family is struggling to find another path due to every possible exit that the sister is trying to find being blocked off, causing the husband to get frustrated that they're running out of time. We see that being the case with the invisible lictor in the background, signifying that the time is up. However, the family seemingly got lucky when a large group of angry rioters showed up demanding one of the blockades to be opened, with yet again another last shot as a response. They used this as a distraction to reach their smuggling hole to escape. With an interesting scene for me, the guard who spotted them was about to fire the sister, but the last gun jammed, giving her enough time to escape. It's interesting because despite the last gun being one of the weakest weapons in this universe, the only thing you can rely on is that it never jams. They travel through the tunnels, revealing the sister's dark parts and what she had to do for her family. But the moment of peace immediately goes away with the Imperial Guard patrolling the tunnels. As they search for any civilians, they run away and manage to escape by seemingly luck by their side, where the Imperial Guard encounters a gene stealer, resulting in their death. Eventually, they manage to find a manhole that could help them sneak inside the checkpoint of the shuttles, but they're surrounded by the guardsmen. However, the invasion has started, with the Tyranid army attacking the civilians and soldiers. But luckily for the family, they clear a path for them, where one of the spores land on the checkpoint, dazing or killing the station soldiers, giving them time to sneak by them and reach a friend of theirs being the lieutenant in charge of the checkpoint, letting them pass inside towards the shuttles. The family discovers there's only enough for 2 people and a baby, causing the sister to be left behind. But before they can make the decision, a commissar gets suspicious of what's going on and why there's surveillance here. Before the commissar can fire his weapon, the shuttles behind him gets blown up, giving enough time for the sisters to kill him, but the lieutenant dies for his brave attempt, with the couple sad for his loss. The family split, saying goodbye to the sister as they run to the shuttles, with her facing the end of the world by herself. Now the shuttles are being attacked and the family barely making it inside, so you might be thinking, maybe they'll die, with the sister looking up at the blown up shuttle showing the grim dark of this universe. No, that doesn't happen. Instead, they safely escape despite a giant fleet being over their heads. At first, this story doesn't sound too impressive or interesting up to this point, something you could easily find in any other films. That's because I haven't revealed the ending yet, where it turns out from the perspective of a poor guy in the shuttle, it's revealed the family we were following throughout the story was a Genestealer cult, and the baby was the same alien species that attacked the guard. This has to be one of the best, most satisfying way to subvert your audience expectations that makes sense, reconstructing the story into a new perspective, but first, there's some explaining to be done to understand the genius of this direction. Genestealer cults were once humans, where genes were altered and stolen from the Tyrannus vast species called Genestealers, where each of the generations of hybrid humans become an abomination. Eventually, a couple of generations start to look human, except for the large bumps on their heads and some few extra arms. These humanoid aliens form a community hidden from the Imperium, worshipping the Star Children and being the Tyranids, creating a religious cult. They see the aliens monsters in their perspective as angels. We see this in their perspective. It looks like a human baby, but they're brainwashed into seeing it that way. In reality, it's a horrific alien, hence they create a name, Genestealer Cult. What makes them a threat is that they tend to overthrow the government of the planet in a rebellion, where they plant sleeper agents like the lieutenant here, using his connection to allow the family to escape and planted the bombs as a distraction. Another thing that makes them dangerous is that they tend to attract the Tyranid fleet to the planet like a beacon. While they soften up the defenses with the rebellion, the Tyranid comes in and clean up the mess by devouring everyone on the planet. So with all this information from the lore, you can understand why the Imperium is this ruthless in some of these scenes. They can't tell apart who's a Genestealer or human. In some cases, they tend to join them, mistaking them as heroes during the rebellion. With the Imperium looking this cruel towards the civilians, you can understand why they'll join. Talking about the ending, what I enjoy the most is that they didn't put out of nowhere, where there are scenes that hint about this family not being normal, and how each time they were stuck in a sticky situation, some lucky event occurred to get them out. Therefore, this is most likely to do with the baby and Genestealer's psychic connection to the Tyranid creatures, helping them escape. The Genestealers attacking the guardsmen in the tunnel, the bombs killing the checkpoint guards, and helping them escape by not being attacked by the flying Tyranids. They do some things that sacrifices the lore, something minor like the guard rifle being jammed. I could talk about in deep depth that the machine spirit got affected by the Tyranid's strong psychic word presence, but it could just simply be that the rifle did just get jammed, bending the rules of the lore, which we see them take advantage for the story to work. Where I've stated, Genestealer sees the Tyranids as angels, but it's clear this family sees them as monsters, except for the baby. I don't mind them bending the rules for the story to work. Warhammer is one of those franchises that someone can interpret it differently and could be accurate. It's forgivable, especially how effectively they utilize the material of Warhammer lore and create a satisfying narrative. Since this episode captured the grim dark of this universe, no matter how much effort the Imperium and the vast factions underneath the Empire, being as unethical as they can be, sacrificing millions of lives, the planets, or themselves to stop the threat from spreading, the Imperial Guard failed their jobs. This creature will become a patriarch, essentially becoming the cult leader, and will start this cruel cycle again on a different planet, with more planets being destroyed. This is the grim dark at its finest. No matter how much struggle, all their efforts will amount to nothing in the end. There's a reason there's a saying that innocent proves nothing in this universe, where they might appear innocent, they believe in themselves innocent, but they're not innocent. You can understand why Henry Cavill wants Warhammer to be a series, because this universe has so much variety of storytelling, and is capable of being in a show. We could debate how well they're going to execute it in a different video, since we've seen a lot of games and books adapted poorly. So only time will tell, but when it comes to this animation, ironically enough, it gives me hope for the capability of this franchise. Thank you for watching, and bye.